So I will be the one discussing about structural design. So what is structural design? Structural design involves the design of the type or types of transmission line support to be used. Stress calculations to ensure that the structures are capable of carrying the loads under adverse conditions. Tower footing and foundation designs. And if applicable, guides and anchors to stabilize and support the line structures. Structural design is the process of proportioning the structure to safely resist the applied forces and load effects in the most resource-effective and friendly manner. The term friendly refers to the aspect of design dealing with an environmental friendliness, sustainability, ease of construction, and usability that are not explicit part of strength that are not part of strength consideration. Resources refers to the use of material, labor, time, and other consumables that are used to construct and maintain the structures. Ideally, the role of structural design is straightforward. It is a transformation of the effects of various environmental and man-made actions, including constraints on materials, dimensions, and cost, etc., into the appropriate material specifications, structural members, size, and arrangements. Structural design. The anchor design is evaluated under the following loads. First, maximum loads imposed by the anchor line. Second, maximum loads imposed during the transportation and installation. And third, fatigue, damage, and sustained over the lifetime. So, geotechnical design. The anchor design is evaluated by the following analysis. Soil structure interaction analysis to determine soil reaction acting on the anchor for input in the structural design or of the anchor. Geotechnical holding capacity analysis to determine the required size and depth of embedment of the anchor to achieve the desired capacity, and checking the ability of the anchor to achieve the required embedment and ease of removal. The anchor failure mechanism in the soil depends on various factors including anchor geometry, load inclination, the depth of the load attachment point, and the soil shear strength profile. For pile anchors, the loading point pile location is usually positioned well below the mudline to get the optimal holding capacity. The conceptual role of structural design. The basic objective is to produce a structure capable of resisting all applied loads without failure and excessive deformations during its anticipated life. The very fast output of any engineering design process is description of what is to be manufactured or built, what materials are to be used, what construction techniques are to be employed, and an account of all necessary specifications as well as dimensions, which are usually presented in the form of drawings. The second output is a rational justification or explanation of the design proposal, developed based on either full-scale test experiments on small physical models or the mathematical solution of detailed analytical models representing the behavior of real structures. The process of structural design has passed through a long and still continuous phase of improvements, modifications, and breakthroughs in its various research areas. The structural analysis and design philosophies for a new existing buildings have a fascinating history. Perhaps the first over achievement in the history of structural design was the confidence, by the virtue of which early builders were able to convince themselves that the resulting structures could indeed be built and perform in the intended for the function of the entirely in its intended life. So that's all for the structural design.